have you ever paused to wonder what happens when our final breath leaves us? Is it the end, or is it the beginning of something far greater and more mysterious? Good morning, friends. Today, we gather to reflect on one of the most profound questions of human existence. What happens after death? It is a question that has intrigued, puzzled, and inspired humanity for countless generations. In the teachings of Buddhism, death is not seen as the final chapter of our story, but as a transition, a doorway to another existence shaped by the actions, intentions, and habits we cultivate in life. To begin, let us explore the essence of death from a Buddhist perspective. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent. Just as the seasons change, as rivers flow and mountains erode, so too does the human body age, decay, and eventually cease to function. But while the body dies, the mind, or consciousness, does not. Instead, it moves on, like a traveler continuing their journey, guided by the momentum of karma, our intentional actions, both wholesome and unwholesome. What happens immediately after death? In Buddhism, it is said that consciousness separates from the body. For most beings, this is not the end, but the beginning of a transitional phase. Tibetan Buddhism refers to this state as the bardo, or the intermediate state. Here, the mind is no longer tethered to a physical form. It exists in a state of fluidity, influenced heavily by the habits and tendencies we cultivated during life. At this moment, our karma ripens. Every thought, word, and deed leaves an imprint on the mind, like seeds sown in a field. During life, these seeds may lie dormant, but at the time of death, they blossom, determining the nature of our next existence. If our actions were rooted in kindness, generosity, and wisdom, we may find ourselves reborn in favorable circumstances. However, if greed, hatred, and ignorance dominated our lives, our next birth may reflect those tendencies. You might ask, where are we reborn? What does this mean? Buddhism teaches that there are 6 realms of existence into which we can be reborn. These realms are not necessarily physical places, but states of being, shaped by our mental and emotional conditions. There are heavenly realms, where beings experience immense joy and bliss, and there are hellish states marked by suffering and despair. There are realms of animals, of humans, and even realms of restless spirits driven by insatiable craving. Yet, the Buddha's teachings remind us that none of these states are permanent. Whether one is reborn into the most blissful heaven or the darkest realm of suffering, these conditions, too, are subject to change. They are but temporary stops in the endless cycle of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The ultimate goal in Buddhism is not to seek rebirth in a favorable state, but to transcend this cycle altogether and achieve nirvana. What is nirvana? It is liberation, a state free from the suffering of samsara, free from craving, and free from ignorance. It is not a place or a realm, but a profound realization of truth, a state of perfect peace. The Buddha described it as the extinguishing of a flame, not an annihilation, but a cessation of the causes of suffering. How, then, do we prepare for death? The Buddha encouraged us to live with mindfulness of impermanence. Reflecting on death is not meant to instill fear, but to inspire urgency in our practice. Each moment is precious, an opportunity to cultivate compassion, wisdom, and ethical conduct. By living a life rooted in kindness and mindfulness, we not only prepare for the moment of death, but also create the causes for a peaceful and meaningful transition. At the time of death, the state of mind we maintain is of utmost importance. A mind filled with anger or attachment will experience turbulence, much like a stormy sea. But a mind trained in meditation, grounded in clarity and calmness, will navigate the transition with ease. This is why Buddhist practitioners often meditate on death, not as a morbid fixation, but as a practice of letting go. Imagine a candle lighting another candle. The first flame extinguishes, but its essence continues in the next flame. This is how Buddhism describes the continuity of consciousness. Life and death are not opposites. They are part of the same continuum, like the ebb and flow of waves in the ocean. But beyond the mysteries of death lies an even deeper teaching. Understanding death helps us to truly live. When we recognize the impermanence of all things, we begin to appreciate the present moment. We learn to let go of petty grievances and attachments and focus on what truly matters: kindness, generosity, and wisdom. So, my friends, as we reflect on what happens after death, let us also consider how we live. Let us strive to sow the seeds of love and compassion, to act with mindfulness and intention, and to dedicate ourselves to the path of liberation. For in understanding death, we come to understand life itself.